We are the tribe from the north, we're brave and we're bold. Defeating our rivals never gets old. Making our way to the Big Sky Conference. Watch out, 'cause here comes the silver and gold. Whoa, whoa. This is Tubbs at the club for the Vandals of Idaho.
Welcome back, Tribe from the North, brave and bold, to the unofficial podcast of your Idaho Vandals and the Vandal affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chris Hammond, and joined with me today, we have producer Dallas running the show from the shadows. How the hell are you, Dallas Hammer?
Well, it's still Anaheim Ducks season, so I am still miserable.
I feel you, man. And of course, somebody who's feeling less miserable, we have Alex, the boatman. Alex, how are you?
Chris, my better half is here today. I taught him everything I know, so how can I not be great?
Well, then, you stole it, so there you go. You can make the introduction.
Cade Coffey, number 15, couple-time All-American, Idaho punter kicker for the last 4 seasons, is joining us now that he has left the program. Cade, how's it going?
It's going great. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, this was I know we've always kind of been like, all right, when he's done, like that would be a fun guy to get on and have a chat with. So, we are happy you joined us, and I guess we kind of broke some of the news there. I mean, people that know on Twitter, but you are indeed done, correct?
Yep. Finally. Yep. It's been a long 5 years, but it's been good.
Finally.
Well, before we get in,
I tried to talk him out of it, Chris. I kept trying. I was prodding him for like the last 3 months. Like 6 months, dude.
It's about once a week I get a text from Boatman. Are you sure you want to leave?
You're so close to setting all these records.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to turn 25 in college, though, so I don't.
I'm old.
Hey, Taysom Hill was like 27 when he finally got out of there.
I think he had a mortgage too, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank our sponsor, as always, Montucky Cold Snacks. Ain't nothing like cracking a Montucky Cold Snack. Ultra refreshing light beer born in majestic Big Sky country. The best part is when you crack a snack, you're giving back. Montucky Cold Snacks donates 8% of all profits back to local causes, even right here in Idaho. Supporting organizations like the CW Hogs and the Idaho Food Bank. Yeehaw! That's freaking awesome. Montucky Cold Snacks, the light American lager for pow rippers, gator wranglers, pony riders, and badass do-gooders. Visit MontuckyColdSnacks.com today to find out how to get some snacks. So we have the myth, man, the legend himself, Cade Coffey, on with us today. This is one of those special episodes that I feel like people can rewatch and re-listen to and enjoy as they please. So because of that, we are going to hit you with some timeline specific stuff here early. And then for anybody that's listening, 2, 3 months, 2 years, whatever down the line, you can go to the bottom and see how to skip the 2020 stuff. Cade, I just want to get kind of your opinions. What a weird way to spend your last season. Can you kind of just cover the struggles, what went into it, what happened when you originally got canceled in the fall? Did you like playing in the spring? Do you wish you would have waited till fall? Or in your mind, how did this cluster of everything just happen this past season?
Well, I think you summed it up perfectly. It was just weird. I mean, there's no better way to describe it than just weird. So I'll kind of take you guys back to last March when the whole country pretty much got shut down. I remember, everyone was shut down. We were like, so what's going on? Everyone got sent home. So pretty much I just chilled at my parents' house the whole summer. And we're blessed. We have 10 acres. So I was just able to kick down on the property and, train. And then when we came back for the fall, we were like, are we playing? Are we not playing? And then when the season finally got canceled, we were like, okay, so we're playing in the spring. But it really wasn't until stepping on that field against Eastern that first game that we actually thought we were playing. So there's always COVID cases. It was always like, are we actually playing or is it going to get canceled? So It was weird.
Yeah, and then having to take a break in the middle of the season,
that
just throw a huge rut and everything. Because you guys, I know you had the loss to UC Davis, but it's a momentum going into that too, though. That Eastern win, I feel like, was still pretty hot on the heels. Then by the time you guys got back on the field, it felt like that was an eternity ago.
Yeah, so that's one thing that sucked is we played really good against Eastern, obviously won that game. And then pretty much the next week, COVID case, quarantine. So, kind of lost a bunch of momentum. That kind of sucked. I mean, I got COVID, so it sucked not being there on the field. But then pretty much taking 3 weeks off and then coming back, just weird, just a weird situation.
Yeah. All in all, were you happy you got to play in the spring?
Yes, I was really happy because if the season would have got canceled, I don't know if I would have came back, maybe, but I'm glad I got to finish my football career on a high note. So I'm happy for it.
Awesome. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about when we get into like kind of the real stuff here. They say you never want to be the guy after the guy, but we've had a couple guys be the guys after the guy. About like taking the reins for Austin Rico and kind of like, what's it like? Were you nervous at all? Like, I mean, man, they have some high expectations for me after, setting up with TJ Conley and Bobby Cowan. And then, you get to Austin Rico, who's now doing both kicking and punting. And then you come in and they're expecting you to kick and punt as well. I mean, it's quite the run of luck we've had with punters and now run of luck with punters and kickers.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start by saying that Idaho is punter U. So any kicker, punter listening to this in high school, come to Idaho. 72 and sunny. The Kibbe Dome is the best place to kick. But I will say, there's challenges taking over for Austin, but it was more of like an expectation, like keep the streak of All-Americans alive. That's the way I saw it. I just try to go out there, grind, and just do my best. So I feel like I lived up to it.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Jump in. Yeah. I mean, so Cade came in. He had the lucky aspect of being our gray shirt. So he was there spring of 16, fall of 16, spring of 17 before he even touched the field. So he was with Austin for a full year, and there's just a lot to learn from someone like that. I mean, people always ask Cade, like, can you go pro and things like that? You might have some opportunities. We're going to cross our fingers on that, but it's always tough. You and I was talking about like how tough it is when you go out and watch Rico, who would come back when he's after college and he's just hitting balls that are just like unbelievable. And you're just like, man, I want to do that. Right. It's just crazy. And I mean, Cade and I will probably swear up and down that we think that Austin Rico is probably a top 15 human in the world at punting the football. And so when that's the expectation, and that's who you're like looking at, it's, it's hard to meet it, but shoot, I mean, we mentioned 3 guys before Cade. Statistically, Cade finishes the third best out of those 4 guys. He's better than TJ Conley. He averaged 44.4 career yards. I mean, that's a hell of an average.
TJ Conley punting for the Jets.
So it's I think Cade more than lived up to the expectation. I remember Cade and I were sitting. He traveled to UW his freshman year, his redshirt year, and I remember we're sitting in the hotel room. First of all, we woke up at 4:30 a.m. that morning and watched Man United play Man City. They lost. Okay. But I remember Cade and I were sitting there looking at stats. He was trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to be at to be better than TJ and Bobby? Like, what do I need to do? And he was close to Bobby. He only finished a couple tenths of yardage behind him. If he would have come back, I think he would have beat it. Looks at Cade intently. But yeah, I think he more than lived up to it. I think he exceeded expectations. I mean, just level of consistency every year.
Yeah. Better dome the punt in. Kibbe or walk up?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Better dome to punt in. The Kibbe or the walk up Sky Dome down in Flagstaff?
Kibbe not even close. The
altitude, you're just like, I don't need the extra yardage. I guess punting, you really don't the majority of the time, right? You're trying to pin it within the 20, not boot it out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Depends where you're at.
I mean, the NAU stadium was cool, but there's just something about the whole vibe of maybe it was just having fans this season, but just the vibe of the Kibbe Dome, you can't replicate it.
Okay, and a fan base that understands. This sounds terrible. Punting, more so because we've had 4 great punters, but I remember like seeing Rico for Heisman signs. Like it's a fan base that maybe gets too excited for punting, but it gives us something. Like we said, punter you. People don't even try to claim it. We'll claim it. Give it to us.
Yeah,
exactly.
But Alex kind of touched on it there. You spent a little bit of time growing up in England, correct? Is that kind of how you became a soccer fan?
Oh, yeah. So pretty much grew up a Watford and Man U fan. So, yeah, it was awesome over there. I mean, played soccer, and that's kind of where I learned to kick. I remember it was my 8th grade year. I was like, I'm just going to try football one year. I was the only guy who could consistently make a PAT, so I won that job. And then our high school coach saw me kick one of our games. He's like, yeah, you're going to come and kick for us next year. I was like, sweet, sounds good. And pretty much didn't. So in Idaho, soccer and football is in the same year. So pretty much just showed up for game days, and, one thing led to another.
Yeah. So did you ever get to play Mason Petrino in soccer? Because I know he didn't. He purposely moved to. They went to Washington so that Mason could play soccer. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the spring.
And there's never a Coffey Petrino soccer.
We played in football. 2013, my senior year, Cade's sophomore year. So,
I did beat Bowman that year too.
No, you did not. You lost barely, but we ran. It
was the next year that we beat Lewiston. It was the next year.
Yeah, that was after I was gone, and that's why.
Yeah.
So
who are some like surprise soccer players on the team? Or is there many? Because I feel like
there's some fans, but as like players, it'd probably just be me, Mason, maybe Jed Byers. Can't think of anyone else who actually played.
Dave was pretty good.
Dave
was pretty good with the soccer ball. Eric Hale wasn't too bad either back in the day.
Oh,
we had a little indoor soccer team, Chris. I coached it.
Did you?
We lost every game. Yeah, Mason got a red card once, so that was fun.
That's when it's too aggressive when you're in an indoor league and you're getting red cards. But I know what that's like. Yeah. We had one of her up in Seattle playing, and we were doing co-ed, and one of our girls, I think she ended up getting 2 red cards in the season. And we're like, how? It's like we're in D League intramural like soccer, but
I will say though, back to your point, I did play Mason in football. I think it was my junior year, and we absolutely killed him. So I will say that.
Rathrum versus the Greyhounds.
Yep, we slaughtered them. So
that's something Moscow hasn't been able to do till recently. So, but so what tell us about what led to you being a Vandal, because you have a little bit of Vandal history as well.
Yeah, so my dad played in the mid-'90s, so I was pretty much born and raised. I was actually born in Gritman, so born and raised a Vandal. It was really until my junior year when Coach Sink and Coach Petrino started recruiting me, and then once they offered me, I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going. So I mean, it was just being a Vandal my whole life. This is kind of where I really wanted to go. So worked out.
Born in Gritman, product of Gritman.
Yeah.
So, Cade, in high school, I don't know how famous it was, but you kicked a 57-yard field goal. I was in TV at the time, and like we went nuts. Like when it was on the shows here in Spokane, that there was footage of you kicking a 57-yard field goal. What was bigger to you, kicking that in high school or the 51-yarder you ended your career with?
That's tough. That's really tough. Probably the 57. I don't know. That's tough. I would say the 57 probably, just because it's high school and high school coaches don't like to kick. Oh, here we go.
So in high school, are you kicking off a tee, or is this legit 57?
No, it's off a tee. Like if you were to go to my high school field, like the grass is like up to your knees pretty much. Like it's long.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, didn't Rico also hit like a 61-yarder or something in high school?
67-yarder, and
but everybody's like, well, it was off a tee, so
it pops back up on Instagram or Twitter about once a year. So,
and as somebody who can't kick a 15-yarder, I mean that's still impressive with a tee. But that's cool. So, but I mean, ending the career on a 51-yarder, was that kind of one? I mean, walk us through that. Was that like Paul just going like, hey, did Paul know you're not returning at that point and kind of give you the opportunity, or is that just we're in this game and we need a field goal?
He's known for a while that I was not coming back, but I don't know, because like most of the time we've always punted those situations to me, so it's like I wasn't really ready for it. I remember looking at Cam laying on the sideline because Cam had his helmet on. He's all freaking out. We're about to kick this, and I'm like, no, we're not. We've never kicked a 50-yard field goal. I mean, when was the last time he kicked a 50-yard field goal here? But then he called it, and there was like 13 seconds left on the clock. So like we just ran out there, and I just remember looking at Connor Whitten. I was like, yeah, just snap the ball. It's just either going to go in or it's not. So we'll see what happens.
Man, if we can get 51-yarders with that amount of organization and like time on the clock, we should have been kicking 51-yarders all day.
You'd be surprised on the level of organization. That's pretty normal, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I wish we would have kicked a lot more field goals or a lot more longer field goals. I mean, we kick them in practice and just I don't know. Just never kicked them in a game, I guess.
47 left hash, Cade. What would have happened if it would have been from there?
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Cade missed 47-yard field goals left hash back-to-back spring games, and it haunts him to this day.
Every time that a field goal, anything is on the 47-yard left hash, whether I'm watching it or anything, I just get bad vibes. It's always a miss.
Go ahead, Dallas.
I have one other. This moment kind of went viral. It was your freshman. I think it was your redshirt freshman year. So I don't know if you remember it, but can you walk us through what exactly you did here? I've watched this GIF probably 400 times, and I've never figured out how you did this.
You know, I have no idea. This is probably, I've talked to Bowman about this a lot. This is probably where I peaked, you know, when Pat McAfee tweets you out, you know, nothing can go wrong. Can't go up from there. But
for the brand.
That was for the brand.
For the brand. I don't remember the second half of this game.
No.
Got 6 stitches. And there was one point in the second half where we're all lined up for punt, and I'm just kind of standing on the sideline, not knowing what's going on. The punt team runs on the field, and I'm like, oh, so I just ran out there super late. So, yeah, fun times.
So how much of this do you remember then if you had to get all these stitches?
You know, it's a little blurry. I will say it was a little blurry the second half. But, yeah, so pretty much kind of walking through the punt. So this is my second punt of the day. So the first punt, it was also snapped over my head. Mm-hmm. And so I was like kind of expecting it, but I was like, no way this is going to ever happen again. Like, there's no way someone snaps over your head twice. And it happened. And, you know, just kind of, you know, I got lucky. I got lucky with the bounce, and, you know, it rolled. So
I just put this together. Was Boatman snapping this?
No. So that's what's funny. So this is also a two-parter to this story, Chris, because this was Luke Hyde. At the time, he's a tight end, and our special teams coordinator at the time was Jason Shoemaker, who for some reason wanted to have Luke Hyde snap punts. Don't know why, but because of these 2 reps, that's how I started playing. So I was in the next rep after that. Never stopped playing after that.
So I was gonna say we do love showing the secret clip of Boatman getting his running down the field, and they got the nice close up of him
against Southern Utah.
Yeah,
against Southern Utah. But that one right there against Troy, yeah. Like I remember on the sideline, it's one of those things because I never want the guy in front of you to fail, right? It hurts your team. That sucks. But like I'll take any opportunity I can get. And that was my opportunity. And I remember just thinking, like, there's no way it happens again. Like it's probably gonna go short, right? If anything, when a snapper goes high, the next time he's going short. Like this might roll to him kind of thing. And so I was just thinking, oh, it doesn't happen again. I'm like, oh shit, it happened again. And yeah, I went in after that. We talked to the Cade at the time, told the trainers to go put him through concussion protocol because we weren't sure. They passed him. It was just me, Noah Croninger, and Cade on the trip that year for the specialist. That was that Thursday night game on ESPNU, super late, and we only had 1 punt in the second half, and that was that. But yeah. So
for our audio listeners, that was the second punt of the Idaho-Troy game in 2017. The second straight punt to go over Cade's head, and he got absolutely lit up, but somehow got the punt off and actually got it 40 yards down the field. One of the most impressive displays of athleticism I've honestly ever seen.
Wow, he called you an athlete, Cade. That's it.
Isn't that for the brand? Punters are athletes too, right?
Punters are people too.
Punters are people too. For the brand.
For the brand.
That's right. So we kind of talked about your career a little bit. What are some of the highlights and what's kind of like a low light? Is there just one moment that still sticks out where you're like, dang, like I wish that would have gone differently, or wow, you know, that was really awesome play by me, or that was really cool to see that play by that guy, or man, I can't believe we beat that team, or, you know, really anything. Goes as broad with it as you want, but other than elaborate, have a couple. We don't care. It's people are here to listen to you. So
I'll start with the high points first. So a couple high points. I would say that South Alabama game. Boatman knows all about that game. It's probably like 80, 85 degrees with like 80% humidity. It was like 3:00 kickoff, but, 2 lightning delays. Turns out to be an 8-hour game that we win in double overtime. And that was, I would say that was probably for me as like a player, that was the point in my career where I was like, I can do this. Like, I can be really good at this.
And also that involved a bad snap from Luke Cade that game on a field goal where AJ Wooden, who was the holder at the time, got it down. It actually went up for the Hody, the holder of the year award, the Mortel holder of the year award. I think he won holder of the week that week, right, Cade?
Yeah, and he should have won it that year.
Yeah, he should have won it that year, but he was holder of the week that week because he got down a bad snap. And Cade just trusted the whole time, didn't really phase him and just knocked it through. And that was a crazy game with those lightning delays and that locker room being terrible. Yeah.
I remember the first locker delay was so long that Coach Petrino went and bought us all sandwiches. He was like,
it's sandwiches
from some
delivered
random
to us.
store. Yeah. So
yeah.
I just remember that flight home was so bad. I was cramping the whole time. Just everyone was. 8 hours of trying to stay loose in the hot, humid weather. So, that was a high note. Pretty much every time you beat Eastern or Idaho State, like that's awesome. Anytime you beat a rival, that's definitely a high point.
Fresno State.
Oh, okay. We got to tell that story. So Fresno State, probably, what is it? Like 15 seconds. No, it was like 40 seconds left in the game. Yeah. And it was like 4th and 10. And usually like when we're in situations like this towards the end of the game and, we're losing, like we're just going to go for it and, try and score some points. So me and Bowman, we're just chilling on the sidelines, okay, they're probably just going to go for it on 4th and 10 and game over. They're going to take a knee. No, so out of nowhere, Coach was like, punt. So me and Bowman were like, what? Have to run all the way over, grab our helmets because we had them set down somewhere, grab our helmets, run on the field. And we're like, well, we'll see. Probably our best overall operation that year.
Yeah,
we both like 50.
Yeah. It was like a perfect snap to the hip.
Yeah.
He like a 60-yard punt with hang time. We gotta punish that next week. If you ever the Coach Petrino punish tape, it's the night before the game, Friday night. He puts up on the tape, good plays from the week before. And Cade and I made the punish tape for a rep that we didn't think was going to happen, and we both were praying would go off perfectly. And when those games go like that, we call it, Petrino, we can say screw it mode because he just starts going for it, and you just don't expect you're going to go in. You're hoping if you go in, it's going to be because of a PAT or field goal. He just kind of starts going for it because why do we have it to lose at that point, especially against that game where we had 2. You talk about it can't happen again. And remember, we had 2 field goals blocked. And I keep thinking to myself, when we go out for the second one, I'm like, it can't happen again. There's no way it happens again. And it happened again. And so that was a very weird game, but that was a great rep. Fantastic rep.
Yeah. That was a good day of punting, too.
Yeah.
Field goal, not so much. Rough day for that. But I would say go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was going to say probably just a high point is just like the best part of being a part of this program is just the guys, just hanging out with the guys every day. Like when they say like after high school, like that's the most friends you'll ever have. Like that's not the case. Like in college, it's like these are the most friends you're going to have forever. And, just hanging out, especially in the summers. Like in the summers, we have to stay here and lift, and pretty much you're just the football team here. So you're just hanging out at the Grove, hanging out at the pool, golfing, going to Zeppos, having a good time.
Yeah.
So I did
a summer crew. Summer crew it's a good time. So that's like you said, nobody else is really up there. So I imagine it's a football team where you still have everybody. That is a blast. It's like I had a blast. Now I knew like 12 people on the whole town.
You get some soccer players and volleyball players too, and that's pretty much it. But I taught Cade everything I know about blackjack, so that's why he's won.
Not a lot.
That's why he's won so much money, Chris.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time for good reason.
It's because of me.
Good old Zeppos.
Yeah.
God. So I've got a hunch, and so I've got a question for that. Low light.
Montana State.
Yep.
Yeah, dang it. I was hoping you'd have something else, but all right. Thought process on all that. Obviously, for people that don't know, infamous moment happened this year, right? Where the Eastern kicker had a kick bounce off our scoreboard and was called no good. However, what gets less talked about is in 2018 on the road in the snow, Cade had a kick that was 95% of people at that stadium said was good. So tell us, was it good? And what was going through your head when they told you it wasn't good?
So it was definitely good. I mean, you go back and watch film, you look at the pictures. I mean, it was in. But, some of these teams have high school uprights. So it's like, makes it hard sometimes. But pretty much when they called it no good, I was pissed off. But I was more just like upset that that moment ruined it for the team because like we really should have won that game. But another thing that was frustrating is when we played Northern Colorado in 2019, same thing happened, except I kicked it straight down the middle of the uprights. But it was so windy that when it was 15 yards behind the goalpost, the wind took it and they called it no good. So, I mean, I was telling Bowman, I was so mad earlier this week. I was like, maybe if we were played for Eastern or like went to a different school, maybe we would actually get a booth call or get some sort of reasoning because they pretty much told us tough luck on both of them.
Maybe we get an apology from the conference if Eastern.
I mean, this happens all the time. So, I mean, something's got to change. I mean, obviously they're not doing something right. So I'm a little bitter about it.
So what you're saying is you're glad the Big Sky is apparently making changes to fix this, but you're saying it's too little too late. It's a couple of years overdue.
Yes, 100%.
So Big Sky versus Sun Belt. Is it more fun to punt in the Big Sky? Because, I mean, Bowman's told us some Sun Belt stories. It sounds like you guys had a lot of miserable times. Even though you were winning, it sounds like you had some very miserable times. I mean, the Troy game where you guys got in at 2 and then had to play at noon, and I think it was even later than that.
He missed
That's
that
true.
One, fortunately.
But then, the South Alabama game. Why do I feel like there's a Texas State game too that was really wonky like that?
That was the year. That was 2014. So that was my redshirt year before I was there.
We had so much weird stuff in the Sun Belt.
When we went there in 2016, we got in late. We had a plane delay out of Lewiston. We just had, it just some plane delays. I mean, light weather delays, but yeah, it happens.
But
yeah, so pretty much Sun Belt versus Big Sky. Big Sky, I would say the Sun Belt was awesome. Being Division I, awesome. Going down somewhere I've really never been before.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really cool experience. Driving through some of those towns was cool. I mean, that's history. And then, the food is obviously like amazing. Like when they say the barbecue down south is different, like they're not lying. It's so much better.
It does hit different.
But I will say I enjoyed playing in the Big Sky because, this is like our roots as like a Vandal, these local rivalries. I mean, I would rather do that than, go somewhere else where no one even knows what the team is. And also is like my parents and family could go to like all my games. So there's good parts and bad parts to both conferences, but overall I like them both. So
then I got a question. So best town that's not Idaho, so Idaho excluded, right? Best football in town experience in the Big Sky and worst, and same for the Sun Belt, because Jack Tate has told me that he thinks Jonesboro, Arkansas is absolutely the worst place on the planet. And he said that's the best thing about us being out of the Big Sky is that we don't have to go to Arkansas State anymore.
I'll explain that. Kate, answer first. I'll explain Arkansas State later.
Okay, so I'll say the worst college town is hands down Idaho State. I'm sorry, that place is a dump. Whole arena is a dump. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but that place is a dump.
No offense taken here. That place is a dump.
Eastern's not much better. Like Cheney itself is not much better. I mean, if they didn't have Spokane anywhere nearby, that place would suck to live. I'm not gonna lie, Montana, the Missoula, that was cool. Missoula and Bozeman were both pretty cool college towns. I'll give them that. But I would say those are probably the two best places. Or Portland State. Portland State was cool too. Just we stayed in the hotel right down the city. Their field sucked though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the Portland State gets so much hate for like playing in basically a high school facility, but like the game itself is kind of fun. Like you get to go to Portland, back before this year, it was like the only stadium that sold beer. So like, I remember going to that and I don't remember how it felt for you guys on the field. I felt like it was 50-50 Vandals and Vikings. Like there was a lot of Vandals down there and I was like shocked by that and, very happy. Obviously, you
got
had a lot of
we
time.
wanted.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a lot of work that game, which I enjoyed you as a player, but I wasn't always happy when you were coming out.
Yeah.
What it was for points, PATs though. That's when you really enjoyed them.
But what about the old Sun Belt? Fun Belt.
Sun Belt.
Where did we go in 2017? Troy.
I'm trying to think. Troy.
South Alabama.
Georgia State.
Western Michigan was cool. That stadium was cool.
Not Sun Belt, but that was the FBS days.
Yeah.
Western Michigan. I know what the worst answer is in the Sun Belt, Cade. New Mexico State.
Oh, yeah. That place sucked.
Dallas is nodding emphatically for the
If
listeners.
you've ever been, I mean, we could see Mexico from our hotel rooms in El Paso.
Yeah.
So that was
I will-
interesting.
I will say Georgia State Stadium was we were like what the first that was their first season.
That was their
in
first
that stadium,
season.
right?
Yeah. The old Brave Stadium where they've had Olympics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
They
that
used to
was
play
really
in the
cool.
Georgia Dome, which was just not the right venue for them at
No.
all.
but that was pretty cool going to Atlanta. That was a long flight, but that was a good one.
Yeah,
But
Colton Richardson looked good.
Talking about Jonesboro, Arkansas, though, Chris, I had Idaho's last ever special teams FBS tackle in that stadium. So
We should get you a plaque.
that should be that's plaque worthy.
Once you finally settle down and you can kind of have like a set going, we need a big plaque that says holder of last FBS special teams tackle, Alex
for
Bowman.
Idaho.
Alex
The only
officially
team
becomes the biggest FCSer ever, so that nobody can ever take that title from him.
Exactly. But Jonesboro, so this is before Cade. This is 2015. So you fly into Memphis and you stay in Memphis. And I remember it's funny because I actually sat next to Jack Tate on that flight. I remember this. Him and I put a laptop in the middle and watched a movie together on the flight to Memphis out of Spokane. So that's kind of funny. But then it's an hour and a half drive into northwest of Memphis up into northeastern Arkansas. You're in the middle of freaking nowhere. And you get there and you're like, what's going on? And it just felt just bad. And there's like 4 fans at the front row of their stadium just yelling, "Fire Paul Petrino," because, he has history in the state of Arkansas. Or his brother has more history in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, I think it's more Bobby related.
Yeah. But and so it wasn't the best time. And then you had to take an hour and a half bus ride back to Memphis. And then I got on a plane to fly back to Spokane at the time, and he's get home late. That one was not Jonesboro. I don't hold in high regard. I hold it down in lower regard with like Monroe and like maybe Mobile. They don't like Mobile that much either. I have more Sunbelt travels than Cade did. Fortunately for him, he got the short. He got the short plane rides. I got the long ones.
Yeah. I kind of got a question. Was there anybody or any fan base that ever stood out from like a heckling standpoint? And is there anything you remember from that?
Well, every game I traveled on, they didn't heckle me. It was always Boatman. So
Troy heckled the crap out of me at first, both times in 2015 and in 2017. But in 2017, I actually befriended some of the people behind me. So like when I was going in, like, you're going in, like they started cheering for me. Like they started freaking out. like so that's hecklers. Idaho State, those ones pissed me off a lot. I remember I was super pissed off.
You got in a little cussing scream match with them, and I was over on the sideline just laughing so hard.
I was so pissed that day. Idaho State got to me, but yeah.
Yeah, their fans suck.
Yeah,
I hate them.
I remember 2018 against Eastern Washington. You had a freaking bomb. I don't remember if it was long or I think it was long and like down within probably like the 10, maybe even the 5. And I remember this guy was behind me and he was just loud. And this is when, for a little bit in the game, from how I remember it didn't get out of hand till later. Like that first little quarter, maybe first 10 minutes, it was pretty boxy. And I remember I was still really into that game. And this guy was like, I'm like, "Oh, you guys are about to see some real punting. Punter, you." And this guy goes like, "You're really bragging about your punter? Man, Idaho must suck." And like, as he's yelling it, you hit your kick, and it just drops like a dime perfectly out of bounds. And he goes, "Never mind, never mind." I was like, literally won an argument mid him trying to insult me for saying we're punter you. He watches it happen and immediately goes, stops his statement mid statement and just goes, "Nope, that was wow." Yeah, you don't see punting like that out here. But
that was funny.
Real quick, Chris, before we move on to one of our last things, just talk about Chris Sinkovich retired today. And for Cade and I, so when you're a specialist, Idaho, you don't have a position coach. In fact, I was Cade's position coach. If you really want to ask him, Cade, put it on tape. Did I coach you?
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Every time that we went and kicked, I was like, Boatman, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? And even to this day, I send Boatman film like weekly.
Yeah.
So who were you sadder retired, Sinkovich or Bowman?
It's up there. Both of them
Bowman,
were up
you didn't
there.
get as much fanfare when you retired.
No, but so the thing is, Coach Sink was the closest thing we had to a position coach. He was kind of responsible for the specialists. He would watch Cade. We'd go watch film in his office. That was the guy we had meetings with. So, yeah, that was the closest thing Cade and I ever had to a position coach in college. And that's usually a position coach is who you spend a lot of time with as a player. And so, yeah, it's sad to see Coach Sink retire, but just awesome guy. I don't think there's really a player out there who has a bad word to say about him. I think everyone on the team always loved him. So just shout out to Coach Sink real quick.
Yeah. Sink's a legend. I'm gonna miss definitely his sayings pregame. Can't go wrong with those.
Yeah, he was great.
I think I read somewhere he's going back down to Vegas. So with all those Boatman blackjack skills, you might be able to go hang out with Sink.
Yeah.
So
what's the last thing we had?
Yeah. Well, I got one more little thing before we get into the last thing. But tell us about who's going to be the fifth guy to step in after the guy.
As of right now, it's probably Logan. I think he'll be fine with kickoff and field goal. I think he'll go in and I think he'll kill it. I mean, they'll probably bring in a punter. So, whoever that punter is, they bring in. And of course, Landon Rico comes in next year. So, there's definitely, I think they'll do good. I think they'll definitely fill the shoes of the previous four.
So the punter U is in good hands, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely in good hands. Got to keep that streak of All-Americans in a row.
So, Chris, do you want to introduce Getting Iced, and then I'll ask kind of the last question and give Cade a little time to think about it while we ask him the last question?
Yeah. So we have a segment on here called Getting Iced. I don't know if Boatman informed you or not, but basically we've been grilling you. You get to grill us. So we'll give you a second here. We got one more question for you, and then an ad read, and then you can ask us any question you want, life related, sports related, alien related, whatever you really want it to be, and we have to answer. But Dallas, I think you have a question while we give you some time to think about that.
So before you ask us the questions, I just want to give you the opportunity. Are there any stories about your time at Idaho that you wanted to tell us or you wanted to say on the podcast that we didn't give you the chance to? Because we've been asking you questions but never said, hey, Cade, what did you want to say about your time at Idaho?
Man, there's so many stories I can share, but I probably shouldn't share on live. But I would say one story, and it's kind of a Coach Sink story. And Bowman, you remember Rico's senior year when the Bear Scout was there?
Yes, I do.
So I think it was one of the last weeks of the season, or right before, I don't know, whenever it was in the season. But there was a Bear Scout that was coming to watch Rico. And it was right before we started. It was a Thursday practice, and right before we started punt. And I remember Rico was about to punt, and Coach Sink comes over to us. He's like, "See that guy over there with the C on his chest?" We were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you know who he's here seeing?" And we're like, "I mean, obviously Rico." He's like, "Yeah," and then just walked off. And we looked at him, and we were like, what just happened?
It was the fun. I forgot about this. But so because the way it works, Thursday practice is when they do pre-practice, and then the first thing we do as an official practice is team punt. And so you punt going in, you practice the pooch punt into the end zone. So Rico and Brett are going there at the 50. Yeah, and Sink comes over to Cade and I was like, "Who do you think that guy's here to watch?" Rico, he's like, "Exactly." Just turns away. We're like, "What?" It's before our rep. We're just like, "What did that have to do?" We're like, "What did that have to do with anything here?" I forgot about that. It was just like the most random thing he's like ever said to us, and I just never understood what it was for. But it was just so random. But yeah, that's a good Coach Sink story.
Well, I will say another story that kind of just sums up being a specialist. I remember it was my freshman or my redshirt year. And it was the time that the Olympics were going on. So we did the special teams Olympics. So as like a specialist, like we really, so in like our 2-hour practices, we got maybe 10 minutes if we're lucky of kicking. So the rest of the time, the coaches probably think we're actually practicing or getting better. but like we're kind of just goofing off, playing games, just having fun. I remember there was one fall camp where it was back when we could still have double days. And so in the second practice, like coach was like, yeah, you guys don't have anything, just go in the dome and kick. I remember we ended up just going golfing for it. And I remember when the team found out, they were so mad, but it was a great day.
That's hilarious. Because you always hear those stories. Like I was at Seahawks training camp, and it was the same thing. Like John Ryan was just like over on a field by himself, just like trying to like hit the ball on the ground. He's just trying to like kick it to bend around a trash can. I was like, is that practice or is he just like discovered something he can do to kill time?
It's pretty normal. You can only kick and snap so much, right? I mean,
true.
You get quite a few reps in throughout the day, but you're not going to do it for 2 straight hours. That's when you actually get bad form if you do that. So, I mean, you got to get creative.
And it's not like you were bad at it. So
we play games. I mean, there was a muff with the soccer ball. I won a lot of muff. I played 3-on-3 football Sunday nights when the team was inside running sometimes. So if anything, we actually get more of a workout in playing 3-on-3 football on a Sunday night. Punt game, Rico actually broke a vent in the dome. It's still broken.
And I remember you got yelled at for it.
Yeah. We stole some golf carts, drove around the dome in them.
I heard, Cade, don't you have a dent in the dome as well? I thought I heard that.
Oh,
but I did break NAU scoreboard. There is a dent on the NAU scoreboard.
See?
So, that works. That's better, actually.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, that was Around the Bar, brought to you by Hughes River Expeditions. If you're looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, don't look past your backyard. Venture into the largest protected wilderness in the continental United States, located right here in the great state of Idaho. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of no return, the Salmon River Canyons, the Selway, or even special trips like the one to see the Perside meteor shower. Camp on pristine beaches, run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, take in the history all along the river's edge. Oh, and you get to fish some of the most remote stretches of river in the country. You bring your clothes and let HRE handle the rest. Hughes River Expedition has been vandal-owned and operated since 1976. Ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. What are you waiting for? Find out what it's like to grab a paddle, catch dinner, and ride the bull all throughout the Gem State. Call them now at 800-262-1882 or check them out at hughesriver.com. Getting iced. Mr. Coffee. Put some ice in our coffee. That was a terrible pun, but I went for it anyways. What do you got for us?
Okay, so this one's for Chris. How and why are you a Tottenham fan? Like, why would you do that to yourself?
So, fun fact, I'm actually number one team is QPR. But
okay, I respect that at least.
Yeah, but you got to have a Premier League side.
Yeah.
Being that QPR is on the west side, you can't really pull for Chelsea.
Fulham.
Now Fulham's in the Premier League, but they weren't. And then, when I was going through kind of getting into it, obviously all my teams have kind of always been underdogs, and I wasn't going to root for Arsenal. And I kind of always knew I wanted to at least try to keep it London. So it basically came down to like West Ham and Tottenham. And then me, the American in me, it's like Queen's Park Rangers. It kind of sounds American. And then you have Tottenham Hotspur. Sounds kind of American. So I was like, I could get on with this. And also big Clint Dempsey fan. So
okay.
That was kind of cool. The deuce is loose.
I mean, as long as you're not a Man City fan, I'm totally cool with it.
I know we get into this all the time because Sean Kramer is the guy who started Tubbs at the Club. So we have Tottenham, we have the Anaheim Ducks because Dallas is into soccer.
I know Christian Pulisic. I know that. I know he plays for Chelsea.
He scored today for Chelsea in the Champions League semifinals.
Yep,
Real Madrid. That was pretty good.
See, I know soccer.
Yeah, and where did he come from?
Well,
America,
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Come on, Dallas.
I meant Borussia Dortmund, but then we have Martin, who doesn't root for any English sides. He's an Ajax fan. So
okay,
we're like, how weird. Like that's who's going to be. I have no problem rooting for them, but like, you don't have any Premier League sides, or you don't root for like I don't know PSG or
Cade,
Barcelona, or anything.
You remember the one time we played City United and we watched in my apartment and it was like 6 a.m. and we were down 2-0 and that was when Pogba because like Audie was over too, and I went back to bed because like we lost this game, but you and Audie kept watching. We come back and won. Remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Falling. Yeah. So Cade and I have our few mornings of waking up and watching some United games. What is that? Oh, your QPR shirt, Loftus Road. See, there you go.
Right there on South Africa.
Yeah.
But
yeah, a lot of FIFA in our days too.
Yeah, I'd always beat Cade. I made Cade forfeit once. Like
I was playing. The reason I was late I was in the middle of a FIFA game. I'm making Inter Miami just a power in the MLS. I'm using what David Beckham wishes he could do. All those buyouts where you get somehow get Inter Miami like a $100 million transfer budget, and so you can just go out and buy like Pogba and stuff. And it's like, why is Pogba in the MLS? And then nobody on an MLS defense can stop Paul Pogba.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big MLS fan. I can't watch it. If it's on, I won't watch it.
We have to be Inter Miami fans now because of Beckham. You understand that, right?
I mean, that's the only team I'll really root for. Just because David Beckham.
Yeah, but it's mainly Beckham. Yeah. I mean, he's a beautiful man.
David Beckham is the reason I'm a Manchester United fan. Like, he's like my favorite player growing up. So him and Cristiano Ronaldo. So
yeah.
No, it's funny though. So back to you, like in QPR and Tottenham. So like in England, it's like a thing. You always have your hometown team and then your favorite team. So for me, like I grew up kind of outside of London, kind of in the Watford area. So naturally, I like Watford. And then we moved to Milton Keynes. So I'm a Milton Keynes or MK Dons fan.
Ooh, that's unpopular.
Then of course I'm a Manchester United fan.
Dele Alli played MK Dons. Yeah. That's Cade has quite a few fandoms when his English, and he had an English accent back in the day too, according to him.
Back in the day, lost that year back.
We gotta go to OT next year, Cade.
I'm terrible at hand things. Like I can't do the Spock, and I wish I could do the Dele Alli, but I can't. I cannot do it. See, Boatman, I think, got it, but you got anything else for the other two clowns on this podcast?
Boatman, all I'm going to say is GGMU. Manchester is red.
Manchester is always red and always will be red. The other side's a bunch of clowns, fake fans. Sean Kramer is the only City fan I know. So they don't exist.
Yeah, if you didn't like him pre 2009, I want to say, then you're fake. Then you're a bandwagon fake fan.
Yeah.
And then for you, Dallas, I'm going to be honest. I don't know anything about hockey, so I don't have any questions for you.
Go Seattle Kraken.
Go Kraken. I am an introduction Kraken fan now.
Yeah, see? There we go.
So I'll admit it right now. I became an Anaheim Ducks fan because of the Mighty Ducks movie.
Didn't every Ducks fan become a Mighty?
Yeah. So really, Cade, you don't need to know anything about hockey. Just if you saw those awful Disney movies, that's all you need to know.
Awful? Those were great.
Well,
hey, to be fair, when I was a child, Anaheim was my team. And then I realized all right, I can't root for a team because of a movie. Because I also used the Toronto Raptors, but then I knew that was because Jurassic Park was popular. And then transition, and I was just playing NHL 05 and thought the Nashville Predators was just the coolest stinking name. That's how I became a Predators fan. But sorry, Preds, full Kraken after this year. My allegiance to them was very loose.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, that was the show. Real quick, any pick for FCS champion this year? Or did you not get a chance to watch a lot of it because you were playing?
I want to root for North Dakota. University of North Dakota. That's who I'm rooting for.
The old Big Sky school that apparently is good now because they're not in the Big Sky, or maybe the Big Sky was just that good all along.
We were 1-0 against North Dakota as a Big Sky
Heck
school.
Yeah, we were. Mason, until NAU, Mason, look, that was his best game. I mean, that
was a hell of a game.
Last-minute drive.
That was a great game.
Yeah, but I love that game. Was it Cotton or Cottrell that caught the game winner?
I think it was Cottrell,
but it
was Cottrell too.
Yeah.
Cool. But it just feels like Jeff Cotton was everything at that time.
Yeah.
Hammer down. Do you have any hammering down? I know we're in the interviews, but maybe.
No, I got nothing. Thank you, Cade, for coming on. That was a blast. Thank you. Personally, thank you for being the brightest spot of a couple rough years.
Yeah. And, hey, is he our first All-American?
To interview?
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe Vibora, but I don't think so.
I don't think he was, but Cade probably is. Yeah.
Well, welcome. You've first All-American on the show. Yeah. We've had an Olympian and an All-American now.
Maybe we can call on Cade to give some Idaho takes after this season. Now he's just a fan. He can watch some football again.
Yeah,
I'm a Vandal alum now.
You can watch Pluto TV now every Saturday, like the rest of us spoke.
You can be like your boatman. We're going to keep the offer extended on anytime you would like to come on.
Yeah.
Reach out. That's how we got boatman. It's just like, hey man, that was fun. Anytime you want to come on, hey, I really want to talk about this. Come on. But
hey, I'm down for whenever. This was fun. But I will say, watch out for the Vandals next year because I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
There's nobody that on this podcast that would be upset about that. So I'm pulling for that as well. Cool. Well, do you want to let the people know how they can find you, or I don't know, anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Give them your.
You guys want to follow my life? I think my handle on Instagram is Cade Coffey _15. Twitter is Cade Coffey 15 again, no underscore, and then you just hit me up on Facebook if you want to follow me. So.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. Just a reminder, some housekeeping for everybody else. Once again, now you can turn it off if you're re-listening. We only have 2 more shows, so they'll be coming out bi-weekly. This is our last weekly show. So we have 1 more coming out, possibly an Idaho Vandal coach, and possibly a big one to end the year for you guys, thanks to a previous guest. We will see. If not, we'll come up with something fun for you guys. So check it out. We got 2 more episodes, and we'll be back with, like we always do, a little bit of a refreshed new format show. Keep an eye out for our survey so you can give us critiques, suggestions, and I don't know, lots of kind words. Hopefully just tell us we're amazing and you love us. Anyways, that's all. It's time for the best band in all the land, the Sound of Idaho, to play us out. Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.